Good day and welcome to my channel. Just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so anything I say cannot be used against me. I mean, no. Anything I say can be taken as not as advice, but it can be used for educational and informative decisions. I'm not allowed to give you financial advice, as I am not a registered financial advisor. So you can use what I say, but you must always use your own, do your own research. Okay, thank you. So I'd like to talk about dividends today. So I'm going to touch on dividends and mention a few other things. So the dividends, when a company sells or produces products or whatever they do, so they have earnings. So each year they have earnings. So usually each company will report. They have a financial year end. Often a company will bring out two reports, a half year and a full year, or they'll bring out each quarter. So you got your first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and your fourth quarter, your fourth quarter is your year end. And some companies, when they bring out earnings, then a portion of the earnings, some companies pay out as a dividend. So a dividend is paid out from earnings and cash flow. So you will find often that companies who pay dividends are usually more established businesses. Your growth companies, your new companies that's still very small and growing, usually won't pay a dividend. They will reinvest the money into the business to grow the business. But as a company grows, then they start to often pay a dividend to give the shareholders something back. And you get like I say, you get dividends. You can get up to 4 times a year. Some dividend shares even pay out I know there's one REIT, Reality, which is ticker symbol O in the United States. They pay a monthly dividend. So, but what they do is to work out your dividend yield. Your dividend yield is worked out on the yearly dividend. So in other words, your dividend yield is the dividend over the current share price, but they take the yearly dividend. So they would add the dividends up. So in other words, the 2 half-yearly ones, or the 4 quarterly ones, or the 12 monthly ones, they would add them dividends, and they would take that dividend over the share price, and that gives you a dividend yield. Dividend yields, you can see they vary from 1% to maybe 5%. You do get some shares that's under 1% and some shares that's over 5%. If it's under 1%, then it's obviously a lower dividend. Maybe they're reinvesting more to growth. For example, a company like Visa in the States, their dividend yield was about 0.8, so it's just under 1%, but they've been increasing their dividend with double digits for the last 10 to 20 years. And I know the recent growth is like close to 20% growth. So in other words, the dividend is increasing dramatically every month. So the dividend is quite small, but it will grow over time. And obviously Visa's share price has increased. So when the share price increases, because it's dividend over share price, if the share price goes up, then your dividend yield as a percentage obviously goes down. Also, doesn't mean that a share with a high dividend yield, for example, let's say the dividend yield is 10% or 11 or 12 or whatever, that doesn't mean that necessarily is a good company. You'll often find that some companies with very high dividend yields are actually struggling financially, but their share price has dropped so much that the dividend yield has actually increased. So always be careful of just buying. Don't buy just, oh, this has got a high dividend yield, oh, this is great, because like I say, if you buy a company like that might be struggling with a 10 dividend yield against a company with a high growth. They call it CAGR, the growth rate on the dividend. If you've got a company paying 1% dividend yield, increasing by say 20% a year, then you're going to overtake the other one if the other one is still around. Okay, so dividends are very nice for investors. Obviously, the money comes back in, so you can use that money for whatever you need to. Often, what people do is they reinvest the dividends. So, in other words, I know in America they call it a DRIP account, which is dividends reinvestment policy or something. So they and we can actually do that. I know here with the ETFs, you can actually say if you want the dividends paid out or reinvested, and especially if you're investing for longer term, it's wise to reinvest them dividends. And what they do then is they buy more shares. They buy with the dividend money. They buy more shares of that company or that ETF or unit trust. They actually buy more shares at that price that they pay out the dividend. So your amount of shares grow, and then your share price will go up in time. So your investment will snowball. They actually call it the dividend snowball effect. There's a group of companies that have a record of paying more than 10 years or more than 20 years in increased dividends without skipping a payment. And they talk about the dividend kings or the dividend aristocrats. And I know there isn't even an ETF called Dividend Aristocrats, and they hold a lot of companies in there, and they each paid like a dividend. So that dividend gets paid out to the shareholders. I see this one called the one that I'm talking about is called, this ticker symbol is GLODIV, and they pay out a dividend twice a year. So they collect the dividends from all the companies they invest in. Then twice a year they pay out that dividends to the shareholders. When you retire, if you retire and you're holding dividend stocks or ETFs, you can actually use that as you get closer to retirement. There is the option to use that money instead of selling shares to help fund the retirement. You can actually try and live off your dividends or supplement your income by using dividends to supplement your income in retirement. Or you can do a bit of both, or so you can see where you are when you get there. But holding dividend shares is a very good thing to do. I believe in dividends and growth. So what I like to do is invest in dividend companies paying out regular dividends, good companies. I'm talking like for example Coca-Cola, or that pay good dividends and increase the dividends over time. And I also like to invest in growth companies that will grow in time. Some of them might pay dividends later on, but you can get share price appreciation from that. And then you can obviously get some share price appreciation on your dividend stocks. Satrix have a Divi Plus fund. It's called Satrix Divi. And I see the current dividend yield is 4.38%, which is not too bad. So there, obviously, you will get a little bit of share price appreciation. And on the current share price, you get 4.38% dividend yield. And I see most of the dividend stocks that I've looked at, you will see that price increases each year. Sometimes even during the year, the price increases regularly. It's worthwhile to do. And like I say, the company pays it out of their earnings and obviously their cash flow. So if you see that a company is paying regular dividends and all of a sudden stops paying dividends, or they say they're going to reduce their dividend or something, then you know something is wrong. Then you need to take a closer look and see what's going on with that company, and then see what your decision is going to be with that. But usually you'll find most of them increase, and they increase over time, and it'll definitely use that snowball effect. Compound interest is another way to explain it. Use your compound interest to grow your money over the years, and you can then save for your goal, whatever your goal is, or for retirement, but definitely dividends and growth is the way to go. All right, good evening everyone, and have a great day.